Welcome back. Now, ever since the first Asian Games in 1951, Indian athletes were winning medals galore for the country. Milkha Singh and Gurbachan Singh Randhawa reached the Olympic finals in 1960 and 64. And that tradition lived on. Sriram Singh and T.C. Yohannan were proud torchbearers of that legacy.
31 years ago, this man was one of Asia's finest athletes. His most memorable performance came at the 1976 Montreal Olympics when he entered the final of the 800 meters. Sriram Singh was the pace setter. He led for around 550 meters before he was overtaken by eventual gold medalist Alberto Juantorena. He finished with a world record. Sriram finished 7th.
अगर मुझे एक्सपोजर मिलता और हमारे यहाँ उस टाइम टाटन ट्रक वगैरह होते तो मेरी परफॉर्मेंस मॉन्ट्रियल में इससे अच्छी होती और मैं मेडल के लिए रेस कर रहा था और मैं यकीन दिलाना चाहता हूँ मैं बिगर मेडल तो नहीं लौटता वहाँ से.
Sriram had earlier won gold in the 800 meters in the 1974 Asian Games. Those games are also remembered for a jump which took 30 years to be better. T.C. Yohannan started jumping after his father offered him a glass of lemon juice if he jumped across a canal which he had earlier fallen into. He did it and was hooked, not to the lemon juice. In Tehran, he jumped beyond any Asian ever had, 8.07 meters. At the time, his feat was rated at par with Milkha Singh's exploits at the Rome Olympics.
Up to 7 meters, I used to go in the air. Then I used to hang my back in the forward and get a 1 meter difference on that. And my leg extension was very good.
And in 1970, Kamaljeet Sandhu etched her name into the record books at the Bangkok Asian Games. Kamaljeet won the 400 meters gold, the first Indian woman to finish on top of the podium at an international athletics event.
Well, that's all we have on this show. See you with more history in our next episode. Goodbye. As part of our celebration of 60 years of Indian sports, we are asking you, the viewer, to tell us who you think is the greatest Indian sportsperson post-independence. Log on to ibnlive.com or SMS us at 2622 to vote for your choice. On the next edition of Sports 360, couples Devils establish their supremacy on the cricket pitch. Prakash Padukone wins badminton's biggest award. And PT Usha scorches the racetrack. It was the biggest ever upset. A ruthless machine was clinically broken down by a team which started as also-rans. Couples Devils were champions of the world. So too were Geet Sethi and Michael Ferreira. And while Prakash Padukone won the Wimbledon of badminton, PT Usha was molding herself into one of Asia's most dominating athletes. This was the crowning decade of Indian sports. Hello there, we are halfway through our journey on 60 years of Indian sports. I'm Digvijay Singhdeo, and today we look at a decade in which Indian sport touched new heights. Joining me on the show today is 1983 World Cup winner Yashpal Sharma. Yashpalji, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, 25th June 1983. Yashpal will remember it well, a day that has gone down in history. Indian cricket was immortalized on that day when a team led by Kapil Dev pulled off one of the biggest upsets in world cricket. Couples India beat two-time world champions West Indies at Lord's to lift the World Cup.
Drinks on the house, you can join us.
A moment that has gone down in history. There won't be too many Indians who wouldn't have seen this footage of Kapil Dev lifting the Prudential World Cup in 1983. Indian cricket had reached an incredible zenith.
Don't forget the West Indies team that time, Gordon Greenidge, Desmond Haynes, 3 Viv Richards, 4 Augustine Logie, 5 Clive Lloyd, 6 Duchamp, 7 7 was Bacchus. 8, 9, 10, 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't want to remember them ever in my lives actually.
Kapil's Devils reached England as also Rans. But some smart cricket by these highly talented bunch of cricketers saw them create an upheaval in the cricketing world. The all-conquering West Indies were beaten in the first match. Australia were thrashed in a virtual quarter-final. And in between, Kapil played the knock of his life to get India out of jail versus Zimbabwe.
17 for 5, you expect a captain to go and do a little bit of tuk-tuk like that. 17 for 5, here's a man comes on, tapat, first ball over, covers for a 4. And that is Kapil Dev for you.
England were steamrolled in the semis, and suddenly India were in the finals.
India are through to the final.
They were dismissed for just 183.
That came down the hill, that's the wicket that West Indies wanted.
Everyone expected the Windies to complete a hat-trick of titles. But India didn't throw in the towel as wicket after wicket fell. The Indians inched closer.
Not so good. Beautifully caught.
And when man of the final, Mohinder Amarnath, trapped Michael Holding in front, history was made.
It must be the proudest day in your cricketing life. That's right. I'm very happy. I'm happy what my team done here today.
This was the ultimate team performance, led by a passionate bunch of cricketers. India were deserving world champions, and 2 years later, they emphasized that status with a win in the World Series of Cricket in Australia.
A memorable day indeed. Yashpal Sharma was there. 24 years ago this happened, but when you see this footage, it seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
See, whatever we did it for Indian cricket. And after that, if you see, there was a lot of change as far as cricket is concerned. If you remember when Sachin Tendulkar got Wisden Award in London, he especially mentioned that after seeing Kapil Dev holding that World Cup, I became serious.
It was a total team performance. Everyone chipped in. Kapil got the runs. You were the second highest scorer for India in that entire World Cup. Madan Lal 17 wickets, Roger Binney 18 wickets. This was a total team effort.
It's always there, you know, if you want to win any of the tournament, it's always a team effort. You know that you can't be depending on only on 2 to 3 players. If you're just thinking that only these players will win you game, I think then more chances are there to lose the game. So I think whenever we needed, those 25 days were for us.
When you were playing Zimbabwe 17 for 5, he said Kapil Dev came out and hit that ball straight down over the head of the fielder. What was the mood? 17 for 5, and here your captain comes and goes bang. What was going through your mind?
You're telling me that was actually 19 for 5, and I was the 5th man who got out. But the kind of inning Kapil Dev played, I think it was a bad luck that there was a strike in that BBC, and there was no recording at all. And the kind of cricket that played, I think it was amazing. I think even if you talk to Kapil, I think he will not be able to forget that inning.
Right. At the end, when Mohinder Amarnath got that last wicket, what was that feeling when you all just sprinted? There was this crowd invasion, you all sprinted. But what was that feeling when you were running off the ground?
I think there is no coverage of that last ball when Michael Holding got out. I think if they could have covered those fielders, they could have seen me moving not towards the batsman, moving towards the umpire. Because I knew that now this is certain we are going to win this game. I was looking for a souvenir. Because, you know, I was knowing that the moment the umpire is going to raise finger, I'm going to get something out of that. And if you look at it, and then in the last, I got one stump. It's still lying in my house.
You got a stump, and I mean, that's something which has to be treasured for a long time. Yashpalji, thanks a lot for joining us and taking us back to that glorious day in 1983. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Well, now, since we're talking about 1983, let's go back a year and view the event that brought colour television to India. New Delhi hosted the 9th Asian Games in 1982, and those games are still a benchmark.
celebrities arriving for Delhi's date with destiny. 31 years after hosting the first ever Asian Games, Delhi hosted the 9th edition. It was only the second instance of a city hosting the Games twice, and Delhi got a complete makeover. Colour TV made a debut in Indian homes, and on the organizational side, support came from the highest quarters.
The most important thing at that time in the Games was the way the Games were conducted and the Games were managed. You had the Prime Minister fully backing you. You had Rajiv Gandhi as a person who was the focal point, who was helping the whole thing going. He had his own team. You had the organizing committee, which was headed by Sabota Singh, who did a tremendous job.
A gala never seen before opening ceremony set the standard for the Games. This was the first Asia to be held under the banner of the Olympic Council of Asia. The Games are also remembered for the beginning of Chinese dominance. China won 61 gold medals. The Indian contingent came in 5th with 13 gold.
The Asian countries loved the Games. They still talk about the Asian Games at Delhi. The message in Asia for the Asian Games went right through all the countries, and the International Olympic Committee sort of literally sat up and appreciated.
The Games showcased Delhi as never before. Praise came from the International Olympic Committee, which said India was ready to hold the Olympics. That dream has not yet been realized, but Delhi is hosting the 2010 Commonwealth Games.
Right, time to head into a short break. When we come back, we will look at the legend of Prakash Padukone. Welcome back. Now, if Ramanathan Krishnan was the pioneer in tennis, then you don't have to look beyond Prakash Padukone when it comes to badminton. Padukone was the ultimate champion. He won the biggest tournaments and was a legend in his playing days.
He was the ultimate touch artist, his name synonymous with Indian badminton. Prakash Padukone's feat are unparalleled in Indian sport. Prakash dominated Indian badminton in the 70s and then went on to make a mark in the international scene.
I could hit the shuttle, precisely to a point where I wanted. I would play more intelligently, use better tactics, analyze the game on the spot most of the time. And that's how I try to make up for, loss of speed and power and fitness.
A stint with the Indonesian team and his idol, Rudi Hartono, was the turning point. After that, Prakash was unstoppable. He won gold at the 1978 Commonwealth Games and then in a space of 4 weeks in 1980 won the Danish Open, the Swedish Open and the biggest of them all, the Wimbledon of badminton, the All England Championships. Beating the champion Lim Swee King, the Bangalore Tornado had arrived.
Champions, don't wait for things to happen. They find their own ways. I was feeling good and I'd really trained hard and I was looking forward for the tournament. I took one match at a time, luckily I think I was in good form at that time. Went on to reach the finals and then Lim Swee King reached the finals and that's how we met and I won the All England.
To keep up the form, Prakash moved abroad to train in Denmark. Success followed him. He won the first ever Badminton World Cup in 1981 and was also the first Indian to be world #1. Today, he runs a successful badminton academy which has helped churn out champions like Pulela Gopichand and Aparna Popat.
Well, joining us now is Novi Kapadia, sports commentator. Novi, Prakash Padukone was Indian badminton in those days, wasn't he? He took the game and put it on a pedestal.
Well, he still is Indian badminton, the most successful player. What he really did was take it to a new dimension. He set the trend of going abroad. See, Prakash comes in the tradition of very talented players like Nandu Natekar, Suresh Goyal, touch artists, but they used to be overwhelmed by the power of the Indonesians and the Europeans. Prakash realized that, and so he went to Denmark to improve his fitness and understanding of the game.
So what he in fact did was, he knew his limitations and then worked around it.
Absolutely. He knew his limitations, as he himself said in the interview. He used to think a lot, realize what tactics to use. Also, he played at a time when world badminton was at its peak. Lim Swee King, the brilliant Chinese retriever Han Jian at the Asian Games at 82.
Rudy Hartono.
Rudy Hartono. And then Morten Frost Hansen of Denmark himself, a superb player, sheer athleticism and control. So Prakash played at a time when there were giants in badminton. And that was world #1, won the Masters, the World Cup and the All England. It's a stupendous
And after he won the All
achievement.
England, he went to Denmark. A lot of people criticize him for that in India, but he went abroad and trained, and that kept him going for a long time.
I think it was absolutely the right decision. As I said, he set a trend which you see some of our squash players now, Ritvik Bhattacharya, Saurav Ghoshal, and many others following. It was Prakash who broke the mold and decided if you have to reach the top, you have to train with the best.
Have to train with the best. Let's move on now. In the 1980s is also the era of PT Usha, India's most successful athlete, winner of 102 medals in both the national and international level, as well as numerous awards from around the world. Usha won her first international gold in 400 meters in the Asian Track and Field Championship in 1983. Between that year and 1989, she dominated Indian athletics, Asian athletics, winning 13 golds at ATF meets alone. In the 1986 Seoul Asiad, she won the 400 meters, the 400 meters hurdles, the 200 meters and the 4x400 meter relay. She was unlucky to miss out on an Olympic bronze in the 400 meters hurdles in 1984, missing out by 100th of a second at Los Angeles.
Missing the medal by a gap, like one stride or something, like you won't feel much. But I missed it by 100th of a second. Actually, I felt very bad, and even now I could not see that race. You know, if I see the race, I feel like crying. But if our country really wants a medal, means no, they could have given all the support, all the facilities for me. But for me, nothing. See, after Los Angeles Olympics, and I started doing for the next Olympics or next Asian meet, or when I started doing training, I got injured. My leg got injured. But instead of giving more treatment or good facilities for that to cure, started criticizing me. Lot of criticize. See, Usha is not participating for the competition because she's scared of losing the meet.
No, PT Usha was a pioneer. If you had Milkha Singh in athletics in the 50s and 60s, Usha got many women into the sport. She was a woman athlete who really broke all barriers.
Absolutely right. You see, if we look at women's athletics in India, just after independence, we had women from certain communities only. Right. Roshan Mistry, Mary D'Souza, and then the ones who got success, Kamaljit Sandhu, slightly lucky, Chi Cheng fell and she won the 400 meters gold medal, and Geeta Zucchi, who should have really been the pioneer but somehow wasn't. PT Usha set this trend, brought Kerala women into athletics, and then the way she dominated Asian athletics in the 1980s, Indian women felt that they could at least compete with the best in Asia.
There's a good anecdote there that when she was winning all those medals at the Asian Games, the journalists who were covering were saying in Seoul that she could easily win a popularity poll in South Korea.
She was extremely popular, highly respected, and you see the generation which followed after her, Shaini and Vandana Rao and Mercy Kuttan, all the others were because of PT Usha, and of course Valsamma, who won the 400 meters gold in the 82 Asian Games. Another anecdote there, she was drawn in the outside lane and cried the whole night that she felt she had no chance. Her coach Kutti told her, forget it, run like the wind. And she felt she had no chance of winning, but she ran like the wind and ended up with the gold medal.
She did do India very proud. I mean, she's won 102 gold medals in fact, all across all disciplines. Nobi, thanks a lot for joining us. It's time for us to slip into another break. When we are back, we look at 3 world champions. Welcome back. The late 70s and 80s saw India produce an assembly line of world champions in Q Sport.